Alright, hi everyone. I am a few minutes late today because Facebook has messed with me and ended up putting me on my personal page instead of the library page. So there's like 7 minutes of me, well, not quite 7 minutes, 5 minutes of me on the other page. But let's start over here, which is fine because I hadn't really done anything. Okay, so yeah, as I said in the last one, I don't have a whole lot to show for last week, like that I've done. I did say I was going to try and do one of the Triceratopses to match my little Diplodocus here. But the problem is that my current toilet paper rolls are a little kind of squishy and soft, and the stiffer ones really work better for these guys. So I'm going to wait until I get some of the stiffer ones again, which should be sometime this week. And then I will try and make a Triceratops. So that I can show you how that works. I have kept the paperwork so that I can do it. So shouldn't be too hard. And yeah, we'll have a little dinosaur army here. And by dinosaur army I mean a whole 2 dinosaurs. So anyway, today we are doing foldable flowers. It is a very simple thing. I even said in the crafts like what you might need today that you would need glue or something like that. You can have glue. It is optional today because I found a really cool, in looking for the folded flowers I was planning on doing, thanks Afra, I found a really cool flower that is just folding and cutting. So you'll need a pair of scissors. The thinner the paper, the better, but construction paper or anything will work. I have a sample here. This is my little 5x5 square. Basically my 5x5 square that I've cut into a flower. You can see it didn't work perfectly because I still have the flat edges here, which was not what I was aiming for. But when I folded it, when it got all folded, Afra, hi. It got hard to cut. You can also have a pen. If you have a pen, that'd be great, because it'll help you a little bit with your rounding off of the arches of your flowers. But what I'm going to do today, instead of using the little one, is I'm going to use a nice big sheet so you can really see how it's doing. It'll make it easier for you guys to follow along. Basically, you just need any sheet of paper that is a square. So, any square sheet of paper, which these scrapbook pieces that I happen to have are. I don't know why the bird insists on screaming during these. I apologize for that again. Yeah, I apologize for you. But what you can do if you do want to do some glue is you can cut out, here I've cut out a little kind of terrible circle of shiny paper, and you can glue it down into the center of it. And what I was just starting to do with the other one was open my Mod Podge, because that is the closest thing that I have that works as glue. But any glue will work. Glue stick, regular Elmer's. I wouldn't probably use like, Gorilla Glue, but any of the other glues will work just fine to work on this. And what I will do too is after this, I will post the link to the flowers that I am making. So that way, if you want to make them without having to sit through all of me, you can do so. I mean, I like to think it's not a hardship to sit through me chatting, but once you kind of get them going, you will not need the whole video in which to do them. So let me put the top back on my Mod Podge, because as I think I've mentioned before, it smells. It is a pretty strong smell. So there's my little flower, my little sample flower. But now we're going to make a giant flower. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out, and like many things that are kind of origami and folded, you're going to use a lot of triangles. So I'm going to fold one tip to one tip, and down to my corners, and fold and fold and fold and fold and fold and fold. And once you've made a basic fold, then you can go back and really fold it out. It doesn't matter whether you're folding, if you have something that has white on one side, it doesn't matter which way you fold, because when you unfold it, it looks the same on both sides, and you can kind of pop the center out to either side. So it really doesn't make a difference. I tested that too because I wanted to know if I needed to start with corners out or not. Then you're going to fold it again into a smaller triangle. Okay, so now we have another smaller triangle. Test all of our curves. And then we're going to fold it in half one more time. We're going to fold one more time down to a smaller piece. And then just test all of your edges. Make sure your edges are all down. Okay, then what you're going to do, this is the one tough part. So now you have this little piece. You want to turn your folded piece so what is the center of your piece of paper is facing down. So you want your center of your piece of paper facing down, which always takes me a second. It's not, and you want your long edge facing out. You're going to take this point here and fold. I'm going to fold this way so you guys can see it. You're going to basically fold it that way. Or you can fold it in, whichever works. I'm going to fold it in now so that you can see I'm folding it in so that you have one triangle, two right triangles basically, one little equilateral and one that's going to be a scalene because none of the sides are the same for those of you who might be also trying to do math at the same time. So you're going to have something that looks like this with your point down here. I can show it. All right. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to snip off the little equilateral right triangle up on the top, right along the edge. All right. So now you have this triangle. Let me just move all my pieces here. And then what you're going to do is, since you have this triangle, you can either just cut it or you can draw on it first. I'm going to draw on it so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And basically you want to draw an arc starting from this corner, going down here, and you want to leave at least a half an inch at the bottom. And the bigger the paper, I would leave a little bit more. So let me draw that real quick. Let me draw my arch. If my pen decides to work. There we go. All right. You can see my very inexpert line drawn on the arch. And then you're going to use your scissors and you're going to cut along that line you just made. You're just going to, and this is the part that's a little tricky. You're going to need a good pair of scissors. Probably safety scissors won't work because, so if it's a young kid doing this, you're probably going to need your parents' help at this point. But you're going to want to cut along so you have something that looks generally like this. And now you simply unfold it very gently so you don't rip anything. And what you end up with is a very pretty, in my case quite large, flower. There's my giant flower. Let me see if I can flatten it out a little bit so that I can show it off a little bit better. Scrapbook paper does work really well for this. It's relatively thin and it's got the cool patterns. But construction paper will work. It'll be a little harder to cut at the end, and you'll have to cut it initially to make it square. So if you have construction paper, which I'm not sure where I've put mine. There it is. Hold on a second. All right, so construction paper, this shape. It's an 9 by 12. So basically similar to printer paper. So you basically want to, the easiest way would be to measure out 8 inches here and then cut here, and then you'd have an 8 by 8 square. The scrapbook paper is basically foot by a foot. Here, I flattened it out so you can see it better. It's basically a foot by a foot square. So that is a very easy thing to cut out. And then again, you can do, I'm going to use the same paper because it's my scrap paper. Because it has already been used at some point. And I'm going to cut out a circle to the best of my ability. My circles are never great, but we're going to do our best. So there's my circle. Circle, 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 and I'm going to just, I'd say set in Mod Podge is what I've got, so I'm going to Mod Podge it down. It actually looks better on this one than it does on the red, this particular, and I'm going to just, and when you're using Mod Podge as a glue, it doesn't matter whether you put it down, if I put it on the back of here, if I put it on the paper, it doesn't really matter. You're probably better off putting it on the back of the circle, which I didn't do, but that's fine. It'll work just fine. So, so there is my flower. And again, I mean, obviously this one might be a little big. This one's probably better as like a put on the fridge or put on a, even decorate a wall or a window. Be a nice thing. I know Wakefield's doing a lot of the like, put something in your window as people walk by and see it. She's not even looking at me. That bird butt. Afra, please stop. But you can also put these in your windows to, it's a nice springy thing for everyone who might be walking by. It's a nice little additional thing to see. If you do them that size. If you do them this size, they will definitely, you can use them as, as any number of things, as for any number of uses. You can put them in the windows. You can put a lot of little ones. You could do a mixed combination of sizes, like in your windows. Any sort of thing like that will work. If you do, Afra, I will say if you do this way and you get, your edges, which I managed to mostly not get on this one, probably because I actually drew it out. This one I just cut. You can always trim, trim off your edges and make them a little round, because flowers aren't perfect either. And so if it's not 100% symmetrical, that is okay. There's also a couple different, so you can also make them with, less. So let's see if we can. You can make, and as I said, I'm going to post the link to the place where I found these, and they have some more complicated ones that you can do that are, 5 petals, 6 petals. 6 petals is going to be fairly similar, because you're doing an even number. 5 petals is going to be a lot more complicated. But let's do one with the construction paper, and just to show you that it'll work. It'll also work just fine with. As you can see, I have bought some construction paper because it is not something I had on hand. But I shopped online on Michael's and bought a couple things that might be standard, at least certainly if you have kids, you're likely to have construction paper lying around the house. Let's do an orange one. Let's pull out a nice orange sheet of paper. I'll move the rest of my construction paper out of the way. Yeah, so basically what you have to do with this one is you just have to, since it's 9 by 12, let's make sure it is in fact. I got my big hefty ruler here. Yeah, it is 9 by 12. So I'm going to measure out 9 inches and draw myself a line down. All right, so I've drawn myself a relatively straight, I used my ruler, really faint line at the 9 mark. And actually, I've forgotten how light construction paper actually is, even though it's a very different type of paper. So this might actually work out pretty well. So obviously, the scrapbook paper is fun because it does, it's got the fun patterns on it. But there's nothing, you can color this ahead of time. You can color it afterwards, or you can just have a pretty orange flower. It's not like you don't find actual orange flowers in real life, because you do. The one thing that will make this harder is that it's only a 9 by 9 versus my 12 by 12. So by definition of size, it'll be a little harder to cut at the end because it'll be a little bit smaller. That last triangle will be smaller. So I'm going to fight with the construction paper because it does not want to fold into a triangle. Excuse me, friend. And there we go. Not sure if my fold's off or my cutting job's off. I think my cutting job's off. So yeah, fold it in half. Fold it in half again. These are some of the easiest. There's a lot of foldable ones where you can fold them and like you do multiple petals and you glue them together, or you get a 3D effect. You know, they're a thicker one, and they're great, but they are more complicated. Certainly, I'm going to fold it again. They're definitely more complicated. I've made them before, and they involve quite a bit more steps. There's some really cool, but you can make some really cool flowers with them. When I was looking at them, again, I'm trying to do things that you can do in a relatively short amount of time, relatively easy with things you have at home, and this one jumped out as me. It's one of the easiest. So this is my one complicated steps I've done. I have folded in half, folded in half again, folded in half again, and now I'm going to do my, oops, I have it the wrong way. I need my center point down. Afra. I swear she's been quiet all day. All right, and I fold across. So now I have this again, and I'm going to snip off the top triangle with my scissors. So I have this, and now I'm going to draw my arch. And the fun thing is I'm just drawing very simple ones, so mine are all going to look relatively similar. But I mean, you could draw something, as long as you fit it within this space and feel comfortable cutting it out, you can make all sorts of shapes. It doesn't have to be a rounded off shape. It could be, I mean, even this looks like you've made a pretty cool shape, like a fan shape doing this. So once you get it to this point, you can make all sorts of cool geometric shapes with it, or things that look really, really awesome. So I'm going to cut out along. Okay, this cutting, I will say, is no harder than what I did for the big one. I discard. And now I'm going to unfold. Well, the bird shrieks some more. And now we have a really cool orange one. And again, you can put a center in it. You don't have to. You can also do something where, now that I've got 2 layers of similar, I can do something like this. You know, glue this on here and then glue a center on. You can do little tiny circles. Afra, stop. You can do little tiny circles in the center. You know, so you can do all sorts of stuff once you have made a couple layers. And then I could, even if I wanted to get really fancy, although this one wasn't done as well, I could stick this one in the middle. And have a really cool, you know, multi-layered flower. So the cool thing is the versatility of all of this is that it's a very simple thing to make. You know, just a few folds, 2 cuts, done. But then you can also layer them in cool ways. You can do them all separately and have a whole garden. You can do whatever you want with them from there. And as I said, the instructions for these are online. I will put the link in the comments when I'm done, so that you can make different number of petals. You can make as many of these as you want. You know, and if you're not happy with like this one, I don't think I cut in quite as far, but since I have my crease lines, you can see my crease lines in here, I can cut in a little bit more if I want to. You don't want to cut in too much, but I can cut in a little bit more. And here, now you can see this one's cut in a lot more, so it has a little bit more, like, basically bigger petals is what you're going for. Afra, stop. So yeah, that's what we've got. It's going to be a shorter one than usual, only 20 minutes instead of the usual half an hour, because they are pretty simple, and I don't need to just sit here and make a whole other flower and make you sit here for 10 minutes. So yeah, so very cool, simple flowers. As I said, you can also layer them. You can layer them parallel, but you can also layer them off kilter. You can do that kind of thing as well. So there's all sorts of things you can do with them once you've made them. As I said, any kind of paper works. You can also use printer paper if all you have at home is printer paper. You can decorate it ahead of time, or you can decorate it afterwards with any medium. As you know, printer paper will take anything. So they're as I said, they're very versatile, very simple, very easy. So yeah, I hope you like them. Try them at home. If you do make some, post pictures here, or use the hashtag Wakefield Connects, and we'll see them. And next week, obviously don't go outside today because the weather is awful, rainy and windy and gross. But if you have a chance this week to get outside, one of the nice days, tomorrow's supposed to be really nice, I know, collect some things from the outdoors. Collect, sticks, leaves, bark, small pieces. Don't go particularly big. Anything you can break into small pieces. If you want, if you have flowers that are getting past their prime and you want to use those are fine, but don't go picking flowers just for it. You don't need flowers. You can either draw flowers for the next thing or not have flowers at all. What we're going to do next week is we are going to make nature collages. So what you'll need is some sort of paper backing, whether, once again, doesn't matter, scrapbook paper, construction paper, printer paper, cardstock is nice because it's better for the glue, but I don't have any, so I'm not going to use any. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make collages of any kind that you want with your materials from outside. And if you don't want to make a collage, if you don't have any paper, or you think your paper's not strong enough, you will need glue, definitely, and tape. But glue will work better for outdoor materials. Tape will work for leaves, but not generally for sticks and bark. You can also make like a sculpture with your outdoor art if you would rather. I'm going to try and do a little bit of both because, again, it's a little harder with having to glue onto a collage. I don't have a way to be able to like prop something up so you can see it. I've been using my box, which I didn't have to use this week. So I'm also going to try and make a kind of a sculpture so you guys can see. And yeah, that'll be what we do. And yeah, so that is, and then I will post a picture in the comments too, and probably try and remember next week to have, I was mentioning last week, the little toilet paper, Ent from Lord of the Rings, the tree person, that's made out of bark and stuff, because he works for both toilet paper roll crafts and for outdoor crafts, and so I will try and make sure, I'll post a picture of him in the comments, and I will try and make sure that I have him next week, so that you can also kind of see something that you can do with that. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you at 2 o'clock next week.